Okay, today we are looking at another passage, another sermon on Esther chapter 4, entitled The Sacrifice Beyond Self. Okay, so we have seen how through the providence of God, God raised up Esther to come into the palace, to be the queen, right? And today is a crucial time because we're going to see how she availed herself, right, to sacrifice even her own life to save the Jews. Let's commit this time to the Lord. Lord, we thank you, Lord, we can come to hear your word, and today as we look into the book of Esther, oh God, help us to remember your invisible hand, the providence of our God, even in our lives, Lord. Many times, though we may not see you, may not feel you, but Lord, you're definitely working and moving in our lives. And Lord, but at the same time, oh God, Lord, when we are working, Lord, you also call us and draw us, Lord, to fulfill your will and your purpose. Lord, there are temptations, there are trials that is before us. That, Lord, that you have called us, Lord, to step out so that we can play the role, Lord, that you have entrusted to us. So, Lord, help us that we will learn through your word today what it means to sacrifice beyond self. We commit this time to you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Okay, I'd like to start off with this time mission. We were called by God to go for this time mission. And I have actually shared before how the Lord called me even during or just after my conversion, but then after I served the Lord in the church and then went for many years of theological training, when the time that I come to go to Thailand for mission, then I realized that, wow, there's still a lot of things that I need to prepare, and these are things that are very difficult for me. So I want to share with you some of these things. Okay, the first thing was to learn Thai language. Before we went, we were to learn Thai language. Okay, I'm not an arts person. Okay, so learning language is a very challenging thing for me. So I was always the lowest in the class, when they come to learn Thai. So that was a big challenge. And second thing was about to learn driving, right? Because Thailand, everywhere there's no public bus, that is so convenient. The public bus is on the main road, and you need to wait at least like 20 minutes or something, 30 minutes for one public bus, and you can't even get to where you want. Okay, so that's why people always have motorcycle. Even the very poorest will have a motorcycle. Some people drive. So for me, I need to learn driving at a very late period of time. Actually, when I was in my JC by 18, actually I already done my advanced driving theory. All passed already. But then I didn't go into training because after the school life and then all this was very busy and hectic. So I didn't go and learn driving. So by the time when I want to learn driving, the actual driving, wow, I can't even remember the advanced theory that I learned. So wow, it was another very great challenge for me to learn driving. Okay, the next thing that I was tasked to learn is about TESOL. Okay, so it's to teach English as another language, to the other learner. Okay, so you must know my background. My English is the F9 one. So then I asked the F9er to go and teach English. Oh, this is a great joke, So it's like, wow, impossible. God, how is it possible? My English is so bad. I myself cannot speak proper English. How am I going to teach English to other people， 这是误人子弟。Yeah, so that's why it's like, wow, I realized that, wow, going for mission is one thing, yeah, very excited, I want to go mission. But then, wow, before I go, wow, I need to prepare so many things. And all these are really very big hurdles and challenge for me. So you realize that in the things that God call us to do, right, in the course of our life, there may be actually certain things that we need to step out of ourselves, to overcome certain fears, certain challenges, to step into the unknown, certain things that we may not even have done before, So it's just like sometimes when we, like Ezra, then the other time he wanted to ask him to do the offertory, say, okay, I'm not going to do offertory. Every time mommy speak, he will do offertory. So his last time that he do offertory is during children's church. Is memorized one, and then so he has to learn how to step out, and to do the offertory. Yeah, there's a certain thing that he will remember, to remember the prayer and how to do, Yeah. So he's unlike Micah. Micah, okay, I want to do. He will volunteer himself, he want to do. But I say, no, I'm not like you do yet. Okay. So, but you okay, good. You have a good spirit. Okay, every time, okay, because there are things that we may not have done before. But that, we need to try and we need to do it, right? And sometimes you are in that place. God has put you in that place to do certain things for Him, right? And that's what we see in the life of Esther. Okay, so today we are looking at this book chart again. You realize that we are in this second segment. Okay, this Haman's cunning plot and how this edict was already sent out, and Mordecai wear the sackcloth and wept, right? And was asking this Esther to help. So that's where we are today. Okay, so just recap the background. We're going to tell this story 4 times in this month. Okay, so Esther was already made queen, right? In chapter 1, and then this Mordecai uncovered a conspiracy that wanted to assassinate the king and was recorded, right, in the book of Annals. Okay, so it was recorded, but what happened? When it was recorded, Haman was honored. You would expect that Mordecai should be the one being honored, but Mordecai was not honored. Right? When you read the Bible, you seem like, very funny, right? Recorded but not honored. Again, God's timing, right? So sometimes, yes, when we do certain thing, your boss get the credit, and you're not honored. Okay, so but anyway, God can still be at work even if we are not being honored. So Haman was honored by the king above all other nobles. Okay, so you can see they all have to bow. And then what happened? Mordecai was not willing to kneel down or pay Haman honor. Everybody would bow, but he would not. And therefore, this Haman was very angry. Right? He was furious and planned to destroy all the Jews. Right? He wanted to kill all of them, not just Mordecai. He found that he's a Jew, and he planned to destroy all of them. Okay, so he go to the king. He go to the king and tell them. Alright, that's the story that we have heard last week. Right? And then Haman also casted the law to decide the day of the execution, and the law fell on the 12th month. Right? So it was like almost a year later. Right? So he got the ring from the king to execute this edict. Okay, so this edict was issued to every province after being approved by the king. And then Mordecai mourned and wailed in sackcloth and ashes when he heard the news. And that's where we are today, right? When we read about the passage, right? So Esther, when he knew Mordecai was mourning, when he was in sackcloth, when you are in sackcloth, you cannot come into the palace. So Esther would not be able to talk and see Mordecai. So Esther wanted Mordecai to change, No, Mordecai is not. Right? So she just want Esther then sent this eunuch to find out what's troubling this Mordecai. Okay, so today from this story, we want to share about 4 ways to help us sacrifice beyond self, learning from Esther. Okay, so there are 4 things that we want to look at today. Firstly is to look at the significance. Secondly, live for the greater purpose. And then lean on the mercy of God. And finally, learn to take the risk. Okay, so these are the 4 things that we'll be looking at today. Okay, so the first thing we've got to look at the significance. Okay, so you will see that in this story, when the eunuch find out what happened, Mordecai also told this eunuch what exactly going to happen, and then show him the edict, right? And ask this Esther to go before the king to beg his favor and plead with him on behalf of her people, right? So that's what we see, right? So Esther was concerned about the well-being of Mordecai, but she was ignorant of the scheme of Haman, right? So she still did not know what's going to happen. She perhaps is in the palace, so no one actually sent this news to her. And by the way, because nobody know that she was a Jew, right? Nobody know. Okay, so Mordecai needed to tell her the seriousness of the scheme, as it would wipe out all the Jews in the Persian Empire. So that's a big thing. Okay, so you can see by the time the Jews, what we call the diaspora, they were spreading and living in this a lot of region. Okay, so it is all over. So there will be many people who will lose their life. So the only way now was for her to seek an audience with the king to plead with him, right? So that's the only way out, because once the king says something, you cannot change. Okay, even the king also cannot change, and take back his words. Cannot. Okay, so that's why later you will see, the king has to come up with some other option, okay, to provide the Jews to survive. Okay, but anyway, the way here is to seek an audience with the king to plead with him. Okay, so you see, sometimes we may not know or understand the gravity of a situation. When certain things, why must I do it? Right? Perhaps sometimes we may take things too lightly. We do not understand the gravity of the situation. It is good for us to look at the significance rather than the cost. Sometimes we just look at the cost, look at the inconvenience to us. No, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. It costs us. It burdens us. It troubles us. Okay, so we look more at the cost. When we look at the cost, we will brush them away. Right? It's a natural human tendency. When we just look at the cost, look at the trouble that we've got to go through, we brush them away. Right? So actually we have to learn to look at the significance of the issue. Okay? So sometimes, for example, we're working in a toxic environment. All the people there, very negative. All the people there, all cursing and swearing. Or sometimes, how about missing church? Sometimes when you are When you miss church one time, you so slowly you think that, hey, it's quite good, Sunday got a lot of free time to do other things. Your Sunday, wow, can do so much more work, can rest, can sleep. When you start to miss church one time, you will then move on to skip church the second time and then the third time. And same thing for the time with God, our daily devotion. Sometimes once you skip it, that doesn't really matter. I have more other important work to do, right? We just skip it. So on the surface, we think that all these things doesn't affect us. Is there any value or not? Is there any significance or not? There is, okay? Sometimes certain things have spiritual implications. Spiritual implications, they can affect our relationship with God subtly. Right? So we are not going to know it immediately. Okay? Many things happen in our life, things that affect in the spiritual realm, because it is affecting things that we cannot see. It happens subtly. Means bit by bit, bit by bit, bit by bit. Okay? So it's like a house that built on the sand, Sometimes, it slowly erode, and then when the big wind comes, that's it. Right? When we look at the news, you see the wind, the mocha, how many lives are being affected, and all the houses are being affected. Right? So sometimes you can see our life can just be swept away, when we are not careful, when we are not ready. Okay? So do not underestimate their effect or overestimate ourselves. Sometimes I think, I can manage. Right? And then we think, all those things not so powerful, but actually they can affect us. Right? So we need to be careful. So what are some of the things that are of great spiritual significance that we need to pay attention to? Right? You may have neglect certain things. Right? So please look at the significance, especially what we call the spiritual significance. Because it may not just cost you your career, or your future, but sometimes more importantly, it may cost us our spiritual life. Okay, so look at the spiritual significance. The second thing, live for the greater purpose. Okay, live for the greater purpose. Okay, looking at the gravity and the cost of a situation sometimes can cause us to shrink back. And that's what we see, right? We can sometimes slide into a stage of inaction. So we don't want to do anything, slide into passiveness. Okay, a state of passivity. Okay, so we do not want to do anything, better don't do first. Maybe next time then do. Maybe next time I'll consider that. And that's what happens to Esther. He was telling Mordecai, what if he go? If she goes to see the king. Nobody actually in the law would do that, because she may be put to death. Right? She may be killed unless the king holds out the scepter. Golden scepter. So because you can see here, it tells us again, the king have not called Esther for the past 30 days. 1 month already. Okay? So the king have not met the queen for 1 month already. Then now the king want to go and meet the king. So it becomes very dangerous, you do not know. 1 month have passed. So you can see that's why this Esther was also hesitant. She was hesitant. She slid into a stage of inaction, of passivity. Okay, because of the gravity of the situation that may cause and affect her life. Then what happened? Mordecai pointed out to Esther the consequence and her purpose as queen. Okay, the consequence and her purpose as queen. So this is one of the key verse in Esther. Do not think to yourself that in the king's palace you will escape any more than all the other Jews. For if you kept silent at this time, relief and deliverance will rise for the Jews from another place. But you and your father's house will perish. And who knows whether you have not come to the kingdom for such a time as this. Right? So this is the key verse of this whole book. Right? So what is this about? Esther cannot assume that she and her household could escape. Right? Because she and her household will also be killed. Okay, because it's the king's instruction. They must be followed and adhered to. Okay? So that's why there's no other way. Esther may think, yeah, it doesn't concern me. Sometimes that's how we think, isn't it? Hey, it doesn't concern me. No, it actually affects us. Okay? It affects every one of us. Okay, so sometimes we are tricked to think that, yeah, it doesn't matter. Okay, and then here Mordecai went on to say, even if Esther were not to rise up to this occasion, deliverance could come from somewhere else. So, you see, yes, God's will does not depend on you, one person. If God asks me to go for mission, then I say, don't want, God, I don't want. God will send someone else. God's will still be fulfilled. God's purpose does not depend on any one of us. But God is just giving you the privilege, giving me the privilege to be involved in this purpose. Okay? So very important, so we don't see ourselves like, wow, we are indispensable. So, play hard to get with God. No, we don't. Because God calling us to fulfill His purpose is a privilege from Him. Right? So, Mordecai reminded Esther that she might have been made queen specially for this purpose. You see, it's for such a time as this. It's a very special purpose that God maybe God put you here. Again, God is invisible. Mordecai didn't even use the word God, right? But you can see, when you read it, it's like, hey, maybe it's God who put you, for a place to do this task. So sometimes that's how we are. God place you here, place you there, in different location, different environment, different situation, for you to play your part. But you can ignore. You can behave like this Garfield. Last time since primary school, I keep this Garfield sticker. And it says, why me? Right? A lot of people say, why me? Okay? So we are all this part of this kingdom and have different roles to play. So hopefully we do not have this why me syndrome. So if God asks you then, why me? Okay? So the thing is this, you may not hear the voice from God telling you to do this or that. It may come from people, like Mordecai telling Esther. It was not God who speak to Esther, Esther, go and do this. No. It was not like God speaking to Moses or God speaking to Elijah, Isaiah. It was a direct revelation from God. But you can see here in the book of Esther, God worked through men. Right? And that's perhaps one of the most common things that we may be experiencing today. You may not hear the direct voice of God, but God can speak through men. So then when God speaks through men, we have to discern, right? We have to discern and say, no. Oh, who is Mordecai? He's just a man. He's not God. God did not tell me to do this. We can do that. And say, yeah, why me? Who are you? Who are you who tell me not to do this? It's not God. God didn't call me to do that. What? We can. Okay, so before we make that kind of judgment, please, we have to pray and discern the voice of God. Whether God is speaking through these men and women. Before we come and brush it off, say, no, I will wait for God to speak to me directly. Okay, so not every time we can experience God's voice speaking to us directly like Moses or Isaiah, or the encounter of Paul, No, not always. Okay, so a lot of times we are like Esther. Okay, God speaking to the people around us, a trusted person, right? Mordecai is a trusted person, and you can see in fact from the story, you can see Mordecai is a person who loved God, who is concerned for the people of God, right? So he is a trusted person. Of course, not asking us to trust anybody, who will go and say to you and ask you to do certain thing. Okay, so please be careful. Don't fall into this why me syndrome like Garfield. We always say, why me? The common human thinking. There's this phrase. Last time we always see the 武侠片 or the martial arts show. The evil, the vile man always say this. 人不为己，天诛地灭. The meaning, and this meaning I realized that now when I check, this is not the proper meaning. Okay, but then it was that means it has been used wrongly perhaps. Okay, so anyway, in this old meaning that I put there, okay, it means that unless a man look out for himself, means to take out himself, to be selfish. Okay, if we are not selfish for ourselves, heaven and earth will destroy him. Okay, so that was the meaning. And that is the common human thinking. Hey, why are you so stupid? You always think of yourself first. You always secure for yourself first. You don't give away first. Okay, so that's what we see today. Even Christian, when they earn, they will secure even for themselves first, to store enough for themselves first before they start to think of others. Right? So this is a very common thinking, even in Christian. And Singapore may perhaps have inbuilt this thinking into us. How we do, in the sense that how we can be responsible for ourselves. We put it very nicely. The selfishness become a responsibility to take care for our own self first and things like that. Right? Of course, there is a place, but we must not overdo it. Right? I'll leave it to you to find out what is the correct meaning of this phrase. Okay, how about another phrase? Sometimes we see show, we also see this, 牺牲小我，完成大我。所以每个人都有一个小我跟一个大我。A small self and a big self. Right? So you sacrifice our little aspiration in order to fulfill God. Sometimes you have to give up your aspiration. Sometimes, last time when I was young, I always think, hey, please God, give me a place, a secluded place by the seaside, and going fishing every day, quietly, nobody, no noise, It's like a paradise to me. Then God sent me to mission. It's like, wow, I don't like interaction. I don't like to have a lot of people, But then, wow, God purposely put me into this kind of situation. So, you see, sometimes we have to sacrifice our little aspiration for a greater purpose. And this greater purpose comes from the Lord. Okay, and this purpose, you can see here, this purpose, it sets a direction. It's like a compass. Okay, so you have a lot of direction you can go, right? So these are all the 小我, okay, all other direction, and this is the 大我. Not that it's north, but it's pointing at the purpose. Okay, and that's the purpose that God wants you to go. So you can choose the other thing. In our life, we may have other thing, a lot of other things that, I want to do, But of course, you can do those things. God will not fault you. God will not kill you if you go and follow your 小我. But the greatest fulfillment comes when your 大我 is aligned with the purpose of God. When we are aligning our ambition, our aspiration with the purpose of God. So live for the greater purpose. In John 3:30 verse 30, it says that John the Baptist says, he must increase, but I must decrease. Okay? He must increase. Jesus must increase, and I must decrease. So the way to do it first, you must increase Jesus in your life first. Then you will decrease. You don't try to decrease you. When you increase more of God, you will decrease. Okay? Philippians chapter 2 verse 3 to 4 also says, do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourself. Let each of you look not to his own interest, but also to the interest of others. Right? We are familiar with this verse, so we do not look at just our own ambition or conceit. Consider others, right? So look around, right? So God has different purpose for every one of us in the body of Christ. Do we consider only our own interest and ambition, or do we also consider the purpose of God? Right? So think about, whether you can sacrifice your 小我 to fulfill a 大我, okay, which is aligned with the purpose of God. Do we often wait for others to foot the bill first? Right? So sometimes when Esther can say, maybe ask this person, right? So after the why me, right, you will start to point finger already. If everybody cannot do then come and look back for me. So we wait for others. We say, let others do. Or will we rise up to the occasion? So when God is calling us to do, will we get to do it? Right? Chinese got a saying, 当仁不让. Okay? So you do not go and push it away, your responsibility. So when it is right, when it's good, do it. Okay? Don't wait for others to foot the bill. Okay, the next point is to lean on the mercy of God. Okay, so after that, what happened? Esther, challenged by Mordecai, he turned to fasting. Okay, she turned to fasting. Gather all the Jews. You fast before who? Again, there is an unknown God. Right? Of course, you turn to God. And even, you realize that even prayer was not mentioned. Fast only. Usually fast and pray, right? Pray. All you can see is that perhaps this book was written in a way to conceal all the spiritual terms. I don't know, it's like when you read message when you WeChat with people in China, you erase all the spiritual terms. So you become, but you know what you're talking about. So perhaps it was in that context, I do not know, because we're not there, but, it was like a lot of words are silently hidden inside the meaning, and you have to read in between the lines, right? So Esther turned to God for his mercy, and she was fasting and praying to God, right? So it of us was called for 3 days, involving as many Jews as possible. It's like when we understand the greater purpose God put in our life, there is no need for us to execute it on our own strength. You don't, wow, chiong, know already, chiong, okay, go and do, just do. You can see Esther, even before she turned to the mercy of God. She prayed first, okay? So we need to lean upon the mercy of God by crying out to Him, okay? We need God to act before we act. Ask God to act before we act, right? Pray before you proceed. Pray before you proceed. Okay, so don't proceed then pray. Okay, don't proceed then pray. Then that's the wrong sequence. We learn to lean on the mercy of God by praying before we proceed, right? So Romans chapter 8 verse 34 says, Christ Jesus is the one who died, more than that, was raised, who is at the right hand, who indeed is interceding for us. Jesus Christ Himself is interceding for us. So are we willing to come before God to seek His face for His purpose to be accomplished in our lives? Right? So that's something that we have to do. When God calls us to do something, you may freak out. You're not prepared, you feel inadequate, and by no means then there will be a time that you feel that you are ready and adequate. By the time that when I went mission, I still feel, I really don't know. Okay, even before right now when I'm preaching to you, I really still find and think that I'm still inadequate to stand before you to preach. But it is not a bad thing, because it always reminds us that we can only lean on the mercy of God. Right? If we become so confident of ourselves, and then I can preach without the help of God. I can preach everything from my head. Right? So we may feel inadequate, we may feel that we are lacking, doesn't matter. We can pray before we proceed. Okay, to lean on the mercy of God. And the last point I want to share with you is to learn to take the risk. Learn to take the risk. Okay, so she said this: if I perish, I perish. Esther said, if I perish, I perish. And then Mordecai went away and did everything and Esther had ordered him. Okay, so Esther, after all the prayer, after she is ready to proceed, to approach the king, right? And of course, the king did held out the golden scepter. Okay, you unlearn of the final story next week. Okay, so she was ready to die if the king would not spare her. Right? We do not know. She did not know at this point of time whether the king will spare her. For us, we have read the story, we know. Okay, so anyway, before she approached the king, she was already ready to die. Okay, so a lot of things that God asks us to do involve some sacrifice and risk. Okay, it may even cost our lives. Okay, so everything that the Lord asks us to do, it will cost us something. It cannot cost us nothing, no. Okay, so you can see when God called Abraham, sacrifice his only son. Oh, right, you can imagine that. I cannot imagine, God asked me to sacrifice my son. And then you can obey, and the son, also obey, so obedient to be sacrificed. Right, but the point is this: when Jesus calls us to do certain things, when God asks us to do certain things, it will involve certain sacrifice and risk. Okay? And sometimes it costs our life. So are we willing to make these sacrifices and take risks for God? We have to ask ourselves to be ready, because there will be what we call this inconvenience. Okay? So do we follow Christ out of convenience? Okay, because there are a lot of things that we must step out of this convenience into this inconvenience. And it will cost us. It will cost us what we call the cost of discipleship. Okay? So we need to learn to take this sacrifice and risk. And the good thing is, God never pushed us to the extreme. Because God knows us very well. He knows how much we can take. He don't suddenly drop the bomb and challenge you until you freak out, God is always in the process of preparing us. So different of us, God have different kind of sacrifices and risks prepared for us. Okay? So the thing is, when God dropped that for us, we must learn to take that challenge. Or else the greater sacrifice and risk would not come. Okay? Or else the greater risk and sacrifice would not come. You may think that, then isn't that better? If the greater risk and greater sacrifice don't come, isn't it better? Okay, the truth is, that's bad. Okay, that's bad. Okay, that's bad. The day I was hearing a sermon, you see, the thing, the very sad thing is when God don't want to care about you. Okay, when God stops giving you sacrifices and risks to take for you, good. But in the Bible, it says his son, he will discipline. And you really ask those sinful people, God says he give them over to sin. That means let them be. Let them be. Okay? So when you're following God, God would not let you be. When you experience the spirituality of let you be, wow, jialat already, very jialat. When God hand you over to sin, like Pharaoh hardened his heart. As I say, or in the book of Acts, God says, hand them these people over to sin, to lust, to greed. He hand them over, means that he's letting them go and walking in the direction of sin. So when God gives us risks and sacrifices, we must learn to take them. And after you take them, greater risks and sacrifices is going to come. Okay? It's going to come. It's going to increase so that your faith will be genuine, so that your faith will grow. That is God's goal and purpose for us. So when we do not want to take this, God will give you time to build up and drop again, the test and the sacrifice. But after too many times, if you got, let go, when God chooses to harden this person's heart and let go, this person continue and then never come back. That is very scary. Okay, so learning to take risks is one of the very important things. A lot of time Christians are very fearful of taking risks and giving up this sacrifice. In conclusion, long for Jesus. Long for Jesus, the ultimate sacrifice. There is no greater sacrifice than the Lord. And you can see here that Esther is only a type of Christ. A type. She is a type. She's not a perfect type, but you can see, Esther's life. She's ready to perish. She's a type of Christ. And she foreshadows Christ to tell us there is a greater one who comes and who will really sacrifice for us. So Esther is ready to sacrifice, but it's not comparable to the sacrifice of our Lord. She is only a foreshadow of our Lord Jesus Christ. Therefore, even the story of Esther points to Jesus Christ, okay, and Him dying on the cross. John 15 verse 13 says, greater love has no one than this, that someone lay down his life for his friend. So we can see that this Christ show us the greater love, right? Show us this greater love, not a normal love, but He's always ready to lay down His life for His friend. So God's love challenged us also to follow in the footsteps of our Lord. John 12 verse 24 to 26 says, truly, truly I say to you, unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains alone, right? But if it dies, it bears much fruit. Whoever loves his life loses it. That's the paradox of it. And whoever hates his life in this world will keep it for eternal life. If anyone serves me, he must follow me. And where I am, there will my servant be also. If anyone serves me, the Father will honor him. Right, so this is the process of dying. Right, the process of dying. So you can see like a corn like that. Huh? If you're not familiar with wheat, right? Of course you can see the wheat, you know. But the corn, you just take a corn for example, you know. The corn instead, once it dropped, wow, you can have so many plants of corn. Right? So but it must fall and die. If it's remained there, nothing will happen. Right? And the same thing for the life of Jesus. When Jesus dies, He blesses so many of us. All of us can come to Him. Right? And this is something for us as well. It's not just showing Christ as the example, but for us, when you learn to sacrifice, your life will bless many. Right? Here is telling us, if you treasure your life, if you hold on to your life, you always protect your life so much, that you always care about yourself so much, in the end, you will lose your life. If you are ready to sacrifice your life, you will then keep it for eternal life. And the Lord knows, right? Because the Father will honor Him. The Father will honor Him. So the life of Jesus teaches us that life is never about ourselves. Life is never about ourselves. In 2 Corinthians 5:15 it says, and He died for all, that those who live might no longer live for themselves, but for Him who for their sake died and was raised. Right? So those who live might no longer live for themselves, but for Him, but for Christ. So it is about God and fulfilling His purpose in our life. Are you willing to move beyond yourself today? Right? Are you willing to move beyond yourself? Or you're still consider yourself living an egocentric life? Do not let the world revolve around us, like this picture. No, not let the world revolve. We are not at the center of this universe, and then you make the world revolve around you, right? But make our life revolve around God. God is the center of everything. Let us pray. Dear Lord, we just commit ourselves to You. Lord, will You help us, Lord, to move beyond ourselves. Lord, not to just see of our own needs, our own wants, our own comforts. Lord, help us to even move on, Lord, to fulfill the greatest purpose that You have for us. Teach us Your way, O God, that it may bring you glory, that it may bring You honor. We just want to live up our lives to you, so that, Lord, that you can use it for your glory. Thank you, O God. We pray and ask all this in Jesus' name.